I couldn't describe it. I've never felt like it in my life, the feeling afterwards. Do you know what I mean? It just, everything that I had hoped for and dreamed of.
I've never been able to verbalise those emotions. Unfortunately, you'll have to feel them to understand them.
Papillon on the near side, Mealy Moss the far side, trying hard to wear him down. It's Papillon holding on with 50 yards left to go, and Papillon wins the Martel Grand National for Ruby Walsh and Ted Walsh. Second is Mealy Moss, third then Nicky D, fourth is Brave.
The night before, we were watching on the television, and the Johnny Frank and a few of the other lads who were fancying him, and we got the Racing Post that morning. On the front of it, Tom Seagal went Papillon for the national. 33 to 1, great value. And by the time he ran, he was 12 to 1. But he was 33 to 1. The horse looked great, walked around the track the day before, and he always looked $1 million, a big proud horse, great head in him, great presence, hadn't he? Do you know what I mean? And but the excitement of going out to ride the national, Ruby's first riding the national, my sort of, not first runner, but like running with a live chance.
You thought live chance, but you still had no expectation.
No expectations.
Zero. We'd watched it here the week before.
Yeah, we'd watched a couple of
field.
nationals.
Yeah.
And we had kind of in our head where it might be the right place to go. And he had sort of in his head, I said, you watched it. I didn't have any experience of the national other than riding in it. Like, I wasn't going to be telling him where he should be or where he shouldn't be.
Aintree then was unique, and I didn't know it. What I did learn afterwards about Aintree was that actually less experience was nearly better, because people with less experience there had no bad experience. I was 20 and I couldn't wait to go to ride in the Grand National, and we sat down, like, it wasn't like sitting down now and putting on the internet and just scrolling back through races. You had to get the cassettes and put them in the VCR and watch the replays. So that's what we did, and watch back Grand Nationals and stop, start, rewind, where the horses fell, where they were, looked into it in a little bit of detail like that, just to get an idea. Now, we didn't watch the end of any race. It was only down over the first 6 fences till the race takes shape, and it was to try and make a plan to get yourself to Beechers, and that was as simple as that. But yeah, there was no expectation. You could go on to Cheltenham, ride horses you fancied, you gave a chance, then you'd feel the pressure or the expectation of it, or be nervous about it. But there was none of that with this. This was just, we were 1 of 40 running in the Grand National, and rolled the dice.
Looking forward to getting around. Yeah, that was going to be the achievement. There was nothing about we going to win. Like, if you jumped a clear round and ran well, we'd be all delighted, you know. And
so lined up well between Bobby Joe and Miko's Dream. Bobby Joe on my right, Miko's Dream on my left. Broke well, crossed the Melling Road, slowed down from the Melling Road to the first. Was in a really good position. Miko's Dream fell on the inside. But I was beside Paul Carberry, and I kind of thought, well, he won it last year, so you know, if I only follow him, I'm only going to give mine a length of worse ride than him. So I just sat there behind him, popped all the way down to Beechers the first time. Fine Avon, Bobby Joe clouted Fine Avon, so I ended up going by him. And we went to the canal turn the first time and down the inside, cantering, not far off the pace.
No, jumped like a buck, and when he round into the straight the first time, jumped great. 2 fences, come up past the stands. Helen looked back up at me, and we couldn't say a whole lot. We both were happy. He's gone a full circuit, and she was happy.
Close to the chair now.
Yeah, got close.
Very deep to the chair.
Yeah, you got tight to it as well too. Fitzy was in front of you and didn't leave you a lot of room when you were inside.
No, and I was right down the inner and got tight to the chair, and he got in real close and up and over it, and then water jump. When we turned round the bend, out over the Melling Road, they fanned out, they widened out again. Brave Highlander wasn't too far away, but I knew when I looked across the first or the second one, and Peter Niven appeared in Hollybank Book. I was getting closer to the front, so I was trying to slow down. I didn't want to be in front, but I thought, like, Jesus, I always considered him slow. Yeah. So if he's here, we're not going fast. So I was happy then. I wasn't worried about the place I was in. I didn't know what the right place was, but I wasn't worried that I was as close to the front.
Going too fast, right?
No, because there were slower horses around you. If they were around you going well, to me it meant we weren't going too fast. So we just sauntered on the way down towards Beechers, ping Beechers, in front. Yeah. Fine Avon, Canal Turn, met Canal Turn a bit long and pinged it and landed out way too far. Hauled them around the bend. I'm thinking, how did I not cut the corner? And But when I looked up, mightn't have been Valentine's, but the one after was the inside part of the fence was dolled off, so everybody had to fan to the outside. So I was happy enough then that I was in a straight line for that. Then Lucky Town arrived up on my outside David Casey, and we started back up to the Mellon Road, but never having to go any faster and all the time waiting for more horses to appear.
Yeah, they never appeared. I looked, he couldn't see it. I looked then to see when he crossed the Melling Road. There's a long run then down to the second last, from the third last, and then I could see him pointing at something. His hand came up like he pointed at something. As it transpired afterwards, he was saying to David Casey there was loose horses.
Four of them coming back down the
Mileway course, and that's what he was pointing at. I looked around me then, and knew he was travelling well, and I knew he hadn't gone for him, and I was really starting to get a bit jittery then. Do you know what I mean? Just there's something going to happen here. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've most of the jumps jumped, the two smallest ones to come, the second last and the last. Looked behind, couldn't see anything between the last two. I said, he's still going well. It's a long ways, but I had watched Nationals. I'd watched Crisp getting 10 in front, jumping the last and getting collared. I had watched Jim Draper looking to have won it, and he got collared by something that came late on the scene as he was riding Black Secret. I'd seen loads of horses that looked winners and got collared. So I didn't dare think we've won the National. I waited and waited and waited. He jumped the last, and I still said, oh Jesus, I couldn't believe, my heart was thumping. Some feeling.
You knew going by the water he was going to win. Now, I wasn't thinking about Devon Lock or Crisp or any of them. I'm only thinking about the winning post, but like going by the water, I think he's going to win, but it's only 50 yards or whatever it is. But it felt like ages. Like you were here, but you wanted to be there. And through the line, I couldn't believe it. I never expected to win a Grand National. So I wasn't thinking this was how you'd feel, or this is a lifetime's work, I was only 20, or this is anything else. It was disbelief. I couldn't believe I would won the National. Couldn't believe it.
I couldn't describe it. I've never felt like it in my life, the feeling afterwards. Do you know what I mean? It just, everything that I had hoped for and dreamed of.
I've never been able to verbalise those emotions. Unfortunately, you'll have to feel them to understand them. But it's not something, and I can listen back and listen or think of what different people have said when they've won a Grand National. What's Rachel Blackmore's famous line? I don't feel male or female. I don't even feel human. You know what I mean? You can't, how you're trying to get somebody to verbalise something that they don't know how to verbalise because they don't know how it feels. So, or they don't know what it is. I couldn't believe, I had never expected it. I couldn't believe it, but it had happened. And I guess there's a small part of you hoping you're not going to wake up. I'd want to go back to the start of the race, but I wouldn't want it to end when you cross the line. I wouldn't want the experience to end until about the following Tuesday. But like, there was just a couple of incredible days, from pulling up from the old walk back in through by the old stable yard. That's when Dad appeared. Down the old walkway with the police horses and all the clingers on and hangers on, that old walkway back in, Ted trying to stop Phyllis grabbing a hold of the horse, and the old winners enclosure, the weighing in, the old press conference or whatever it was. I'd never even been at a press conference before. The whole thing, just the whole aftermath, the noise, the atmosphere, the sense of achievement, the trip back to Manchester Airport, coming back to Kill, the celebrations that night, here the following morning. Like, this was just people lying on the floor in here. It was just full of bodies. All for either friends of mine or Ted's or Jennifer's or Katie's or whatever. The place was just full of people. There was an old drinks cabinet in the corner there. And there was 3 lads lying down here having tea and Maria and milk for their breakfast on the Sunday morning. And then, like, the Sky turning up at the front of the house and Kevin O'Ryan in his boxer shorts answering the door. It was like Notting Hill in Kill. You know what I mean? It was just, and the crack that day and into the following day, it was just, you know, into the shop, front of every paper, every Sunday paper. It wasn't like now, will the National make the front of the paper for the right reason? Here in Ireland, a horse winning the Grand National made the front of the paper for the achievement. It was just incredible.
It was like you'd see, you know, when after winning an FA Cup final and they're all on top of the bus, you know, and then that kind of thing. It was just unheard of that Ireland would win a national. My father had told me about Vincent O'Brien winning 3 in the 50s, you know, and I remember Mr. Watt winning in 58 and my father bringing me out to Rathcoole, which is a village up here, to see Mr. Watt coming back, parading through the village. But to think that it was not happening here to me, you know, it was just surreal to think that. I never thought it could happen. I appreciate it because I was 40 and I didn't think it could ever happen.
40? It's 25 years ago.
50. 50, sorry, 50. 50, not.
And he usually puts 10 years onto everything, right? Usually, like, if you asked him now what age he was, he'd tell you he's nearly 80.
Yeah.
Like, but he's not, he's 75. But like, now he's going to come back at Papillon, he was 40. I'm 45, like.
Yeah, I was 50. Yeah, but I didn't think it could happen, like, you know, and it did happen. And that was the great thing. And like, it was absolutely magical. And as we said, the parade and the village and everything else, all the pals that were around. And
Well, sure, it was magic. But it was even like when we came back into Kill that night.
yeah.
Like there was three television trucks, like with the satellite dishes on the roof.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't even any internet. Like now that'd be one truck feeding it to everybody. But at that time, like it was RTE, BBC, and Sky. They all had sent their own trucks with the satellites on the roof, parked in the middle of the village. Like, and I remember coming in with Gillian and thinking, like, Jesus. It was like they're the kind of things you used to see in the north when something would go wrong. Like you hear they were parked in Kill for something that had gone right. It was manic. And even the parade the next day, like from the Dewdrop to the old house and back up, like it was just...
Yeah, people everywhere.
People everywhere.
A couple of weeks later, I won the Irish National, which he had been second in a couple of years previously. My dad had been second in a couple of times with horses. We didn't think in this smaller outfit here that we'd win an Irish National. We won an English National. 2 weeks later, Comanche Court wins an Irish National. And then 10 days later, the Heineken Gold Cup at Punchestown, Comanche Court wins it again. So the month of April, the year 2000, if I live to be, I'm 75 in April, if I live to be 175, I will never have a month like that again. You know, and that went on. And then it was it mentally it brought you to a different level. You had achieved what you had hoped, which you didn't think you would achieve. Like some people take it for granted that they're going to be a huge success or whatever it is, or going to win this. I didn't for one moment take any of those things for granted. I was absolutely over the moon that we had done it. And the great thing for me was he was on board all three of them. Now I would have been over the moon to watch him ride all three of them had they been trained by Paul Nichols, Nicky Henderson and Willie Mullins. I'd have said, what a month he's had. I'd be delighted. But the fact that I was the trainer of all three of them, I haven't had that kind of a month ever again, and I don't expect to have it.
I don't think ultimately life changed at all. I was only 20, so ultimately I wasn't living where I now live, but you're still here. This house is the same. You go to the same shop, drive much the same car, you eat in the same restaurants, you've got the same friends. Like, what is life?
Yeah,
to me, I had the same friends then that I have now. I might have driven a better car for a while. That's about the size of it. But I went to the same restaurants, I still go in the same places on holidays. You still live the same life.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have a memory you can't ever give away.
No.
But ultimately, I think we were well enough grounded to live the very same life.
I appreciate the good fortune that we all had. And I appreciate it even to the present day. And if we get a bit of it again sometime,
We'll take
great, we'll take it.